All right, I guess we're live on YouTube now. How's it going, Corey?
Going well. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yep. A lot of progress being made on things. I'm very happy that some open source developers pulled through and made it so that we can now have reactions on Essential Works TV.
Mm.
And that's as opposed to just likes. It used to be that were just likes on posts, and now you can have different kinds of reactions. So you can have the emojis, and people can submit suggestions of if they want to see different kind of emoji made as the reaction. And that also works with comments now. It didn't used to work with comments on the activity feed, but now that's built in. So that's something people have been requesting for quite a while now. We finally have that done on EssentialWorks TV, the social platform. We can find the apps on the website, essentialworks.tv.
Cool, man. Good work. And well, first of all, Happy New Year to you and everyone else. 2023 was pretty crazy, especially the latter half for me anyway, and my family. But 2024 started off very well. Looks like there are going to be a lot of disclosures occurring this year. Even rumors of something as early as next week coming out or the week after. So I'm kind of anticipating that. And things are going very well with the work I'm doing in the background with the television shows. I had a great meeting with the writer, producer, and director of some of the shows we're pitching, and they're really excited. A lot of these networks had stopped pretty much bringing on any new shows. So some of them we're going to do through the networks, and some of them we're going to do independently and distribute through a new distributor that we're talking to. So yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff's going well. Last year, the last half was really stagnant. The whole year was, especially in the entertainment industry. But right now, things are picking up and disclosures are picking up. One of the biggest other things in the background that we're hearing chatter about is that China and Russia they're worried that one of the two are going to do a disclosure through their own narratives. So the deep state, or the people that control the military industrial complex, are really cornered right now. A lot of the whistleblowers that have come out now, over 100, nearly half apparently are willing to come out publicly, and they've gone through the IG and all of that, but they're willing to start coming out publicly. So we could see some very interesting things in the weeks and months ahead. And we could be seeing the beginning of a protracted partial disclosure in the beginning. And on this level, a lot of them, we expect that they have every alien out there cataloged and know exactly what's going on, but they are not totally sure that what they know is completely accurate. So that's some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about at the Disclosure Summit in April. I'm looking really forward to that.
Yeah, and just if people haven't heard about that yet, that's coming up April 26th, 27th, 28th in Lebanon, Colorado. And sign up at the disclosuresummit.com. Live stream tickets will remain available, but the in-person tickets will sell out fast. So you should definitely check that out if you're
Absolutely.
interested.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to selling a third or something of them. So if you want to be there in person, yeah, now's the time.
Definitely. So maybe it'd be good to ask about, you had mentioned, Russia and China, and I assume that if people in these other countries are pushing for disclosure, it's probably not the same people who know about agreements to conceal certain information, and that there must be different factions that are forming, that are the ones that are pro-disclosure and anti-disclosure based on whatever agreements.
I think it has more to do with politics, and China and Russia have been studying this as long as we have. They have spied on our programs. They know what we have and where we have it, just like we know with them. And they've been in a arms race, basically, with us to reverse engineer this stuff. And it is rumored that Russia and China think that there is a big that if they were to release this information before America, that it somehow it benefits them and it hurts America. So that is something that's been going around. It's more on that type of level on why they would do it.
I see. I guess, yeah, I'm ready to get into questions more now, a Q&A with the live streamers, but I should clarify to people, if you're watching on YouTube, this is the Q&A process is handled through essentialworks.tv, so you have to sign up on essentialworks.tv if you want to ask questions live. And that's why it's just much easier for us to filter through the questions using that platform.
Yes, and get your questions in early, because I tend to run out. My voice tends to run out. I've been doing a lot of meetings, and I've had like this allergy thing going on, causing like, just headaches and all kinds of stuff. This time of year, it always gets me. So, yeah, get your questions in now. I'm drinking throat coat to last as long as I can.
Great. Yeah. So I guess it's appropriate to also mention that to me, it seems like it was one of the biggest news stories that's barely reported on, that that some of the members of the House Oversight Committee got to have a meeting with the intelligence community, Inspector General people, and they basically confirmed a lot of details. They wouldn't say what they were, but like Tim Burchett and others seemed to confirm that there was a lot of confirmation of much of what David Grush had said. So this seems to be close to a relatively official disclosure, at least for the House members, that there's a lot of these things are actually true. And now apparently they have leads to follow, and they may do further hearings on Capitol Hill that will allow us to break into more areas for the public to see that this is clearly going on with more of these whistleblowers. Did you hear anything about, is this a huge step forward? Are we making these leaps? Do you know anything about that?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. The cabal, the controllers of the military industrial complex, they had their own plan, their own disclosure timeline leading up in conjunction with what they knew was going to happen in the future with ETs revealing themselves more and more. But Grush and these other people coming forward was not a part of their plan, and it's accelerated it, and it's changed the narrative or it has caused them to not be able to use the same narrative, I think, although they may try. I don't know exactly. I don't know. It's these Grush and these other 88 now or more whistleblowers have the backing of the Alliance, the Earth Alliance, and they're working to help them out as much as they can and to protect them. But yeah, this is kind of an unexpected. The Alliance did not expect people to start coming forward like this. It was something Grush and a few of the people he worked with spearheaded, and then later, after the Alliance figured out it wasn't like a deep state trick, they got behind it. And the deep state people are really freaking out because they wanted to unfold things in certain ways, have laws passed to give them protections because of the crazy stuff that they've done over the decades in the past, so, to preserve the secret and keeping it, hurting people at times to preserve the secret, destroying people's lives, and also having amazing technologies that they've kept from Congress. All of these things are pretty big deals. And there's a lot of other legal ramifications that some of these people were given technologies that gave them a boost above other corporations in development, and all of the progress they made financially, they could lose. They could now be sued and lose all of that, or a good portion of it. So these people in the deep state are deeply motivated for this to not come out until they want it to, and to come out the way they want it to. And this is not what's happening right now with Grush and the others. So what's happening is a good thing, but it's still partial disclosure. these people are telling what they know, and it's going to be kind of a mosaic that we're going to have to put together. It's not, I'm not expecting a major data dump at this point.
I've heard about several kinds of programs that intimidate and harass and potentially even do the wet work and take out people who could be coming forward with too much too fast. Do you think that all those programs are still in play, or do you think that there is some breakthrough where now they no longer feel like they can do as much intimidation because of all the exposure?
No, it's still in play.
Mhm.
Killing, what they do is they just profile their target. Sometimes it's a killing thing, sometimes it's not. It's a discrediting thing. And they will look at what's going on in this person's life, vulnerabilities, levers that they can pull on, and try to do everything supposititiously in the beginning to where it's just bad luck. A lot of bad stuff is happening. But, the moving from discrediting people, harassing people, making people think they're crazy, all sorts of things that, they go in and rearrange things in people's houses while they're gone or while they're asleep. And they do, mind, they make people, at times go crazy. There's all different types of methods that they use. Killing someone attracts a lot of attention, or potentially does. And it is, it's used as a last resort usually.
Okay. All right. Well, might as well jump to a question here that was just asked in the chat. What is known about secret space programs of Russia and China?
Well, they have military industrial complex level reverse engineered technology, just like America, China, Russia does, the three of them. They have made breakthroughs in different areas of the technology, but because of the nature of the relationship and the spying that goes on, they ended up all stealing from each other the information that the others. So they've progressed pretty far, and they're pretty much on the same level technologically, although the U.S. has had more money and resources to pour into it than Russia. For a period of time, Russia had become, poor after the big wars. China, less than 100 years ago, they were riding bikes and industrial age kind of technology. And then the West came in, passed policies that built up China and made it a manufacturing mecca. And then, it was during, that time that they really started having the resources to put into, these types of research. Like Mexico has recovered this stuff for a lot of years, and they have it, and they have their people working on it, but they have far, far fewer resources to try to reverse engineer and study these things than people in the West or in Europe do.
All right. So I guess to cover what many people are asking about, I don't know if it's a waste of our time to even bring it up, but the Miami incident, Miami Mall incident, do you know anything about that?
Well, I'm skeptical. The video breakdowns I've seen of the aerial shots that they say is a 10-foot tall alien, when looked at properly and lighting and all of that changed, it's clearly more than one cop walking side by side, and it just makes it look like one tall entity. I was shown some images from supposedly inside the mall. I don't know. That one. I don't know. I just don't know.
That's fair.
I just don't know. The one in Peru, I can't remember his name, Timothy. A guy went down to Peru and took a crew with him, and spent like 7 or 10 days in the village that was supposedly attacked, and he got a lot more detailed information. And there's some I'm intrigued. You know, I don't think it was miners flying around on jetpacks. That's even sillier. You know, that's of an explanation. Flying through the woods with people shooting at them in the middle of the night. So there's weird stuff that's been going on, you know, down in South America, and they've been having a lot of sightings, and UFO videos have been popping up on Twitter and other social media. So there's a kind of a flap going on down in South America right now too. UFO flap.
Yep. All right. We have another question. You mentioned in the past, I think you mentioned in the past about the possible use of the emergency broadcast system. Do you feel that the emergency broadcast system will ever be used in some kind of major event to circumvent other media?
I don't, not to circumvent media, it will be used to back up media. There aren't alliance or other people who have access to those resources anymore. They've, you know, since, you know, 2019, 2020, they slowly have taken anyone who could have had alliance ties out of positions and put their people in. That's just how it's done. So maybe back, you know, about, you know, 6 years ago, that would be possible, or 5 years ago. But now, you know, these people don't have access or control of the infrastructure to be able to do that.
Right. Do you know what the ancient builder race looked like?
I believe that they were avian in nature, and I don't believe they appeared exactly how I perceived the blue avians, but I believe that they may have been like humanoid avian kind of, but that's just how it's been depicted to me. All the iconography that goes back that far has been torn apart. The writing was scratched away long ago. So there are a lot of ideas of what they look like. The bodies that were recovered in a craft several years ago from an ancient craft that came into our solar system, body or dehydrated sort of bodies were recovered, and one of them was less avian and more pterodactylish kind of looking. Maybe that is it. I don't know. But by our standards, I don't know if we would consider them beautiful.
So I guess, does this mean that it's not possible for somebody to just hop in a ship and go back in time a few billion years and see what it's like back there?
It's possible, but, you know, popping into the middle, I mean, just traveling in space, you're basically traveling in time, but, you know, to other star systems. But depending on when you popped into our own solar system 2 billion years ago, depending on what's going on at the time, what type of security they had all sorts of automated security back then to create barriers to protect certain star systems. So it might be sort of perilous to attempt that. You know, like, you're not just going to pop into our solar system and a bunch of, you know, blue avian like angels are going to be floating around. That was a different part of their evolution. And this is like, I don't know if it would be a good idea. You may not make it back. You may find out.
I see. We could jump to a sort of philosophical question here that was asked about law of non-interference, which I think people have called the prime directive, like in Star Trek. And who is responsible for this?
I don't understand the question.
So if a group says that we're not allowed to go in and interfere with another planet because of cosmic law, is there some original source of that cosmic law that they're following? Is it a matter of agreements between like the other ET groups?
I think cosmic law is more the law of the motion of the cosmos. the creator set things in motion, and the natural development of that, things that develop from the motion that the creator put into play, is cosmic law. Anything that deviates that, changes it, or exploits it, I believe would violate that. And it's more simple. It's kind of like these, I don't know. That's just the best I can describe it today.
Yeah, that's much closer to what the Law of One books say about there being a first distortion, which is the original, choice of the creator to have free will, is kind of before all the other agreements that get made. So I could ask about, will the solar flash bring any kind of DNA activation right away?
I think it creates a change in the DNA that will take years to manifest. It's not all of a sudden we have multiple strands of DNA after the flash, and we can, like, we unlock all of it's a slower progress. It's kind of cosmic law that things do not grow faster than they can handle. So we have to, we're a very corrupt species. Look what the hell's going on out here. I know there's people out there that want to say, no, we are misunderstood divine. Well, just look at us. People show you what they are, and we have to overcome this. And a solar flash isn't going to overcome this. We have to learn lessons, make changes, and have growth. It may be more accelerated, but it's not going to be. This isn't, this big it's a cosmic event. It's not a magic event.
One question was asked, I've heard aliens come up from under the earth and sea and not from the stars above. Is this true?
Yeah, there are some beings that have been here for a long time and have lived underground. Some believe since before humans were on the planet. The big question now is, we've always said this is Earth, our home, our planet, but is it? Has it always been? Or are we just allowed to live here in somebody's garden? A lot of these ET groups that do different types of harvests on different planets for resources, they see this as their planet, and we might even be seen as a resource to them.
Have you ever watched the show that's called The Expanse?
I saw when it first came out, everyone sent me links to the promos and all of that. So I tuned in and I watched like one episode, and then I watched just a bunch of clips off of YouTube, to kind of to get an idea of what it was. So yeah, I have a pretty good idea. That's actually one of in the feature films and in the video game synopsis and descriptions. The Expanse is one of the ones that we're using as similar properties for the scripted stuff.
Do you think they made that based on any kind of real knowledge?
I don't know. Like I said, I watched a bunch of clips. It was intriguing. A lot of it was just kind of logical next step kind of cleverness that went into it. I don't know. I would say that a lot of these writers too, they borrow from pop culture and subculture. They come and will watch a few videos of people from our community and get inspired. So in a way, maybe they were inspired with actual information by kind of going in and looking for new concepts. But yeah, I talked to someone who was talking about doing a documentary about that, about how pop culture has been stolen from and subculture's been stolen from by Hollywood, and they have timelines about how it matches. And a lot of times it isn't Hollywood putting out secret space kind of stuff, as a big conspiracy. A lot of times it's because they took the concept from subculture, and it's that happens more often than you would think.
Did you ever watch or have you seen the recent UFO video or the UAP video called the Jellyfish UFO? And have you ever seen anything like that? Do you know anything about that?
I've heard about jellyfish UFOs from people, I mean, going back decades, but I have never seen one. I have never seen one personally, and it was a compelling video, obviously. And I hear there's so much more that they have. Jeremy and what's the George Knapp? Yeah. They apparently they've had stuff that they've been sitting on for a long time, and they're finally able to get it out in this new environment. So something I hear there's going to be some pretty cool other videos coming out, crisper, clearer. There's some video apparently going around in the background of a triangular, maybe pyramidal craft coming out of the ocean with very crisp outlines, and you can see the reflection of the skin of the craft. I haven't seen it, but I mean, I've just heard of that going around, and so I don't know. It's an interesting time to be alive. 2024, when it comes to disclosure, is going to be interesting. I think we're just going to get bits and pieces spread out over the year.
We have a question here that's asking for much more detail around the ancient equipment and ancient things that you saw under the moon on your moon tours.
We were passing over these old machines that looked like they were for digging and construction. They looked different than what ours would. Instead of tracks, they had like wheels with these just big spikes, kind of. And I don't know what I had no base of reference of what these tractor looking things were for or anything. We just passed over them and I got a glimpse of them. Yeah, I believe that's what they're talking about.
So was this an extended tour that you got to walk around a few different places and see a lot of things?
Yeah, I was taken on a tour to where I got to see the inside of the moon, the long giant tunnels that kind of connected to different areas. They were like, it was tunnels between big spherical areas, cavern areas. And in the cavern areas, there were these kind of mirror, or they kind of look like solar panels, but like golden type of mirror with a texture to it, all around, and suspended down from like the roof was a focal point, and all along the inside of the walls, there used to be like this gold copper plating that channeled vast amounts of power and electricity that was all destroyed. The mirrors and all that were replacements. They had been destroyed in some cataclysm, and these were all replacements with humans and ETs working together. And instead of having the golden copper plating along the inside of the connecting tunnels, they now had these just huge, like what we have on Earth, giant cables that were transmitting power. So I was taken to one of the big circle cavern areas. The other ones, they said we don't have access to, but this one, we had been put in kind of control of repairing it. And then it was not too long ago that that whole base complex was taken back over by the Orion group.
All right, we have another question that maybe could go in different directions, but they're just asking what was a typical day like when serving on a 20 and back? And I guess you could pick if you want to share about the working on the research vessel or a different part of the time.
Yeah, it just depends. Being assigned to the research vessel was just usually, boring monotony. Working in the, they had modular labs that would get switched out from time to time. And I was basically being a lab tech most of the time for the scientists. And then they had engineers that I would go and work with that I was also a tech. That's why I got to spend a lot of time looking at the smart glass pad, is because there was steady work being done, but there were times of free time, lots of free time. And we spent a lot of the free time doing redundancy cross training, cleaning, maintaining. It was just kind of a monotonous, real crazy exciting things didn't happen very often. It was most exciting when I would get to go down to a base with security to be a part of helping them fix advanced equipment. And they used intuitive empaths to help hone in on fixing advanced equipment that interfaces with consciousness. So that kind of stuff would be exciting because we get to see new environments, but otherwise it was, the same environment. And you were trying to keep your mind occupied, and escaping into the smart glass pad was a great way to do it, because these departments had a lot more access than other people if they were to pick up the smart glass pad. So, I would ask them questions and, do research.
We could skip ahead now to the more recent testimony you gave about, or the intel that you gave about what people are believing about extra-dimensional entities that maybe were called the architects. What was the first clue, or what was the initial evidence that there were entities associated with this?
It goes back to the 1950s and 60s that this concept's been around. People that they had working with them, scientists that they had working with them, a lot of them believed this hypothesis that, but they were more cut and dry. It was more like everything's this or nothing's this. Like, the ultra dimensional beings that are able to control time, space, that some of the people who are calling architects, those are, people have different ideas that, and it all comes from their belief systems. It's really weird how they filter it. There were some in the programs that believed that they were little fallen angels, that spiritually and technologically advanced beings had crash landed on our planet, and then their ghosts or spirits had been trapped here and become these beings. Some of them believe that they are some sort of cosmic elemental created by cosmic forces, and that we don't understand, that became conscious, that were drawn here to the earth. There's all of these different ideas, it's really been a mind screw for a lot of these people that this came back to the forefront, because a lot of what they've discovered in the programs is very weird, not just nuts and bolts craft and dead bodies, and that's amazing, but they have weird tie-ins with some of these beings being tricksters, pretending to be aliens. They will pretend to be us even. They will manifest a configuration that looks like one of our secret craft, and fly around one of our bases, or just these weird trickster sort of things. And they've traced it back hundreds of years. It's just they present themselves differently to us. And so we don't know to what degree there are ETs visiting us here from other planets. And there are ET groups visiting us from other planets, but in another dimension adjacent to ours. Those are different layers of what's going on, but we don't know to what degree they interact with each other or what's going on. A lot of these guys right now, and for like a year, I was like, I didn't know what was real and wasn't real. I had to like really, it was crazy, all of this information coming out. They had sent teams out to different areas to observe phenomenon, measure it. And as soon as they arrived, the phenomenon began responding to the investigators. And when the people would go home, it would follow them home to their families. And it's like they had gotten attention of more of a consciousness, or more of some sort of entity that wasn't physical, but it could become physical. And one of the things that I've read, Jacques Vallée and a few things, is that these beings are trying to interact with us in an abstract way to try to teach us or communicate with us. And they do so by manifesting and interacting with us in that way.
So I guess I could clarify again that what you're talking about is intelligence from human sources and not from the ET sources who have explained a lot of other aspects of our reality.
No, this is coming from the the human side of intelligence and the Alliance, what they found. My voice is really starting to die on me.
All right, we'll see how many more we can do here, but yeah, whenever you need to go is fine. So I guess people still have a lot of different belief systems around what this is, and based on their own biases and religious views, and there's really no clear answer that people have on whether or not these beings are connected to the creation of humanity, or the what we are today has been affected by this particular group.
Right, and all they have are more questions. What of the things they've observed in the past, documented and put into their intel of what's going on, their idea of what's going on, how much of that has been contrived or manipulated? So they've had that mindset, and they're all pouring their ideology into it because it plugs into everybody's ideology, because they think it created all of our ideology, or influenced it anyway.
I guess it may be good to ask the question now. So you're talking about bases on the moon that were taken back over by the Orion group, or one large complex, which you've called the LOC. And I guess there's a lot there. But are there other secret bases that the U.S. has, or the humans on Earth have developed on the moon that we still have access to?
Yeah, there are small military, industrial complex type bases, and there are various other ET bases that are still established, and they don't interfere with each other. And that's the reason they get to stay there, is because they stay they're just there to observe mostly. I think that pretty much at the end of my being able to speak.
All right. I can save these questions. There's a lot of questions that came in. I can save some of them for the next time. Maybe I could ask, do you believe that the mummies that were displayed by the Mexican press conferences originally from Peru, do you know anything if those were legitimate or hoax? Do you have any other information? Most people would just speculate on that, I think.
It's the same hoaxer that did the original Peru mummy, Nazca mummy years ago, that was on Gaia and all of that, and it hit the news. It did. I mean, they ended up, I don't know where the report went, but they did a thorough test, and it did appear that it was made up of different body parts of fish and different animals and that sort of thing. Whoever's doing it is very, very, very clever, but clever hoaxes from down there are just well known. Like the artifacts, like that supposedly came out of a cave of these stones that have alien graves carved into them. Those were viewed by anthropologists, and they found the machine marks of the little drill that was used, and it was put out as real. Everyone believed it was real. It was very clever hoaxes have come out of South America. That's my opinion.
All right. I had the throat thing happen too, I guess.
Yeah. I need to end my part anyway. My voice is
All right.
shot.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Corey, and we appreciate all the questions coming in. And yeah, I'll continue to review all the questions that come in and make sure to answer all the best ones for sure at some point.
Yeah, and please, everyone, we want to see you at the Disclosure Summit in person. So, David's speaking there. He hasn't started advertising. Once he starts sending out his emails, that's going to fill up. So, we would love to see people from Ascension Works TV and our other friends there in person. So, go to thedisclosuresummit.com and we look forward to seeing you.
Yep, that's great. And I will open this chat up to other participants now after we end the recording and end the live stream. So you guys can hang on and we can chat more too. All right.
Awesome.